Imagine unlocking boundless amounts of energy,
Boundless.
vitality, and the longest life ever.
Boom.
All from your plate.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Hi, everyone. This is Miss Natural Olympia.
And this guy right here is Doug the Formulator.
And so, as Hilary so well said, we're going to be talking about our favorite subject, nutrition, today.
No, my favorite subject, food.
Nutrition, but yeah. Okay.
I just
Have food.
But
Okay.
today is more about nutrition.
And so this is where we break down, the science of fitness and nutrition. And we really do love this concept because it is the number one factor for being able to have the longevity, the vitality, the long life, and all of that. So if you're new to us, remember, click subscribe, smash that button below so that you get notifications.
Did you say smash it?
Smash it. So you get notifications of when our next episodes are coming. And we have some really great guests coming on over the next few months because we're getting ready for our super seminar. And so it's going to be super fun. So
today,
go ahead.
We're talking about superfoods. We're talking about all of the foods that give you what you need to live the way you want to live, right?
Absolutely. And what we've done is we've broken down the top 3 picks in 5 different categories, right? Fruits, vegetables, grains, berries, and meats.
Yep.
And we're just saying, okay, with each of those categories, what are the top 3 foods based on the data, based on a search of all the databases and for longevity, for vitality, for energy, and disease prevention, which ones are the best, and just more for fun, because one of the biggest things we do is teach people eat more single ingredient foods.
Right.
In other words, just foods that come from nature, or if you do combine them, have each one be single ingredient instead of chemicals and those types of things. And why not know which ones are the very, very best for you? So let's start off with fruit.
Yeah, we're going to start with fruits. But I want you right now to think about the top 3 fruits, not including berries, the top 3 fruits that you think offer the most bang for their buck when we're talking about longevity.
Boom.
So come up with those 3, because this was interesting to me. Was it interesting to you?
Yeah, one of them stood out, was interesting. I was hoping the other one would be in there.
Right. Okay, so first we're going to talk about bananas.
I thought that was interesting that bananas was on there because it was such a powerhouse fruit for years. And then people started like, oh, it doesn't have as much potassium as a few other things and stuff, and kind of ripping on it. And then Brecca came out and was like, oh, if you put it in your blender, it raises your blood sugar level, and all this stuff was just a bunch of BS. And so I think it's kind of like people sometimes shied away from it when it is one of the top 3 fruits in the world. And understand, we scour the databases, again, for longevity, disease prevention, energy, vitality. And so this is a big one.
Yeah, this is a big one. So as you said, loaded with potassium, but also fiber, quick digesting carbs, right? So that we have it's providing energy.
Mm-hmm.
Vitality, because it has vitamins that help with muscle function and hydration. On longevity, though, bananas, because of the antioxidants, they reduce the oxidative stress. And then a study from Medical News Today in 2019 highlighted bananas as a top energy booster due to their carbohydrate content. 2021 in PMC.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Polyphenolic, very good. Oh, all these words. Foods note similar fruits support longer life through anti-inflammatory effects. All the things.
Right. So let's talk about banana just for a quick second. Remember, all over the world, God had put in different places the high antioxidant, nutrient-containing foods for those areas.
Right.
And bananas, being on the equator, is one that's just full of very special types of antioxidants that will help protect against the sun, to be able to help internally to fight off any type of the bacterias and the amoeba, all the stuff that there's just a lot of bugs around, right? A lot of bacteria when you're in those tropical places.
Mm-hmm.
And this has natural antiviral, bacterial, parasitic properties to it that's not talked about. Like we know papaya, we know all those things that have those. And so banana is one that's really kind of snuck in there. And it's actually the most used fruit in smoothies across the world.
Yeah,
I
I was going to
Googled
say,
that. I thought that's funny because that's what I do every morning.
no, for sure. I was going to say bananas are really easy. They're super easy snack and something that you put into your smoothie, not only for flavor, but for thickness. So you freeze a banana and that helps with the consistency of your smoothies. Bananas are just so easy and versatile.
And they're really good in dark chocolate.
This guy. Have you ever made one, or does somebody make those for you?
Yeah, well, I eat them really well.
But they're also really easy to travel with, right? And like they have a natural protectant with their skin. So I just feel like bananas are ideal, even for no matter what age, because you don't really need a lot of teeth to eat a banana.
That's true. You can gum it.
Yeah. So,
Right.
anyways, I feel like bananas are such a
What's
great
number
one.
two?
I love it. Okay, number 2, the doctor was right. An apple a day.
Yep.
Not the doctor was right. Grandma was right. An apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this one for a lot of reasons. But what's interesting is one area that I can consistently done research in the last 30 years, I always want to see what's the compounds that help build muscle, right, and to help with performance. And there's one called urolithin A, which is a phenomenal nutrient to help the body build muscle, be able to help the mitochondria stay strong, longevity, and it's found in apples, actually more in the peel. Right, of
Is that
apples.
the quercetin? Like it's found within that, or is that separate?
That's separate. That's a whole nother vital nutrient. So apples really have some unique properties that I think is overlooked because they're so easy to attain.
Yeah.
Right? And they're always available in the different types. And I'll just say one other thing about apple is if you're like, hey, well, I don't like apples that much, you don't realize there's many types of apples because you're going to find one you like. There's different textures, different flavors. Honeycrisp is like my favorite.
Yeah, you can find ones that are more sweet. You can find ones that are more tart. You can find ones that combine the two, right? Yep. Yeah, so high in fiber again, which is amazing. The antioxidant power that you just talked about, slow sugar release, so a better source of energy through the day, enhances vitality. Also gut health from apples, which is amazing.
Yes,
and
because there's a fermented fiber within that that's great for the gut and did you say anti-inflammatory? Major anti-inflammatory.
Nope, I was talking about heart, gut, anti-inflammatory now. Thank you so much. And they may expand your lifespan.
Oh, for sure. And the neat thing about apples too is the benefits are throughout the whole apple. So your urolithin A is in the skin. You've got a lot of the antioxidants and fiber within the meat of the apple, and it's just one of those foods that the only thing I would say is make sure to wash it well, especially with gates out there at the peel and all that crap now. But an easy way to go about it is vinegar and water, or if you use like oxypure and water, and because you want the skin, but you want to get the junk off the skin.
Okay, got it. And the third super fruit food that we're talking about, this one, one of Doug's all-time favorite fruits.
All-time favorite.
You know, Doug, you know it. Pomegranates.
Pomegranates.
So, and this one is the one that you were like, yeah, this one's going to be on there, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like we just know it because more and more research comes out. And again, I hope you see a trend. The trend is something called antioxidants or phytonutrients. And there's different forms of antioxidants and phytonutrients. And a pomegranate has the most diversity and strength to help the body. So,
yeah, I'm gonna let you punch out the first few there because
so
sometimes I've never even seen that word in my life.
Punicalagins and ellagic acid. Punicalagins and ellagic acid. So basically, they're just specific antioxidants, phytonutrients, I should say, which are multiple antioxidants bound together, and they're massive. Like they're so massive.
Blood flow,
strong.
Right?
Yep.
Like there's just so many benefits to them. Longevity, protecting DNA.
Huge ones protecting DNA.
Yeah. So Denver Health 2023 ranks pomegranates high for longevity, backed by studies on oxidative stress reduction. And a 2023 Insider Tracker piece references research where daily pomegranate intake slowed aging.
Yeah. So I talked
You
about my
like that
theory.
one. You, you have a lot of theories. Which one are you talking about?
This was the fruit in the Garden of Eden.
Oh, I have heard this one.
I mean, look at all of the
Per Doug's
pictures
opinion.
of this Solomon's temple, of all of the great tombs. There's always pomegranates all around them, and then after the fall, it had that rough skin
Can
is
you?
what came from
Yeah.
that.
So you're
But
telling me
you used to be
you could
able
have.
to eat the whole.
That'd
It's
have been
perfect.
such a blessing,
I'm
right? To
telling
be
you.
able to grab upon. Oh,
Yep. Freaking Eve. So basically,
cut that out. Oh my gosh.
that's kind of funny.
I'm standing up. Cut that part out.
Okay, so basically, the thing is that the pomegranate has some other factors with it besides the high-powered antioxidants. It's actually one of the few foods that does not have a high protein intake, but keeps you anabolic. It's so powerful, and a lot of people feel that it's because it can boost testosterone.
Okay.
And that might be why. But what we know is that it does keep you anabolic, meaning a state of muscle growth, without being a protein.
You know what I am a little bit surprised? Maybe it's the fourth one. What fruit I'm surprised didn't make it is cherries.
Yeah,
I feel like
tart
cherries.
cherries.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a few that I bet you are really close right there, right?
Yeah.
You know, so honorable mention, cherries, tart cherries for sure, especially for recovery because they have the ability to reduce acid in the body.
Yeah, I love
and
having a
it's a
couple
great
cherries
way.
after a really hard workout. So now we've done some fruits. Let's talk about the top 3 vegetables, Doug.
Let's do.
Okay.
So top one is spinach, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and also I just want to throw out there before you start talking about it, spinach is a really easy one to throw in a smoothie.
Mm.
It doesn't change the taste, and it offers so much bang for your buck.
Yeah, and two of the main minerals that the body needs, and you hear more and more about them each day, is iron and magnesium, right? The body using up the iron levels too quick. When we do blood, we look at iron outside the blood cell, the intracellular fluid or the extracellular fluid. Then we look inside the hemoglobin levels of the iron within the cell. And many times it's really off, and it's just because of the form of the iron. The iron in spinach is an organic. It's an iron bound to an amino acid called glycine, but it's an organic iron. And it's absorbed, this heme iron. And so you want that type of iron. Also, it's full of magnesium, which I think now finally people are waking up to the importance of magnesium.
Oh, yeah.
And the importance of it for the brain health, the heart health, all muscle health in the body. So it's really powerful. They're also, we found, again, this is like in the last 20 years, these phytonutrients, things like lutein for the eyes, not just, we thought there was a lot of vitamin A in it, when there is some vitamin A, but it's more of these powerful new phytonutrient antioxidants like lutein and zeaxanthin that's in spinach. And so super spinach, and, Popeye did pretty good on it too.
Sometimes I have no words. Okay, yeah, I need to start with that spinach more often.
For
These
sure.
eyes are hitting that age,
Yeah, and I think I love that concept. I could do better at putting more or spinach in my
he could do
especially if
better.
there was a
90%,
bowl
I
a
think.
bowl of spinach there that I could just grab.
You know what would happen if I kept a bowl of spinach out, right? It would.
The second one is broccoli. So broccoli is full of, again, another phytonutrient. You really do need to know the difference. Antioxidants are vitamins A, C, E, selenium. These things that we found, they're single antioxidants. Phytonutrients are multiple antioxidants in one compound that have a lot greater benefit. And there's one called sulforaphane, which is in broccoli. It's phenomenal. Broccoli has high vitamin C. A lot of people don't realize that. And it's one of the vegetables that's high on the anti-cancer graph, if you would. It's basic. We know for sure that it helps to reduce the risk of cancer in the body, which is just huge.
Okay, I'm going to mention this again because we talk about it all the time. When we are cooking our vegetables, we're not losing out on any of the antioxidant mineral benefit, correct?
Correct. It's if we nuke them, but if you cook them, you're losing out on very little.
Okay. Okay. So because my thoughts on spinach is an easy one to get raw, right? Broccoli for little ones can be tricky sometimes. So if you have like a nice little dip that's made super clean, that becomes easier. Braven was king of eating his trees when he was little.
The trees.
Loved those. But So broccoli is one of those, though, that I want to remind people chew and chew and chew because the membranes are so small. You have to break open all those tiny little membranes for the enzymes to work so that you don't get gas from broccoli and feel bloated.
Yep.
So that's one that you just need to chew and chew and chew. And I feel like if you steam broccoli or add it into like a stir fry, then it makes it easier to eat for people that don't particularly love the taste of broccoli.
Yeah, and again, remember with broccoli, like you mentioned, you've got to break the membranes down, and so you don't have a problem with the broccoli. Broccoli doesn't bloat you. Broccoli doesn't cause gas, any of those things. It's the non-digestion of broccoli that does it. So chew, 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 take your enzymes.
Your
And the
enzymes.
third is kale,
Mm.
which is kale is like a roller coaster. Kale over the years, and it's like 5 years at a time. It'll be like, this is the greatest thing in the world. Oh no, it's the worst thing in the world. Oh, it's the greatest thing in the world. And you have groups, and depending on the group, other groups hate them, right? And it's just so funny because the vegan group will love it, and all of a sudden they get hate because they're vegan. And then you'll have some of the carnivore group, oh yeah, but the only vegetables are kale and broccoli and that, and you should have them. And then the other group hates them, and it's just so silly. Kale is huge because it brings a few other vitamins into play. It does have vitamin A that anything green does, right? So we know that with broccoli and spinach, there's a lot of vitamin A, but there's a lot of vitamin K in kale.
Mm.
And vitamin K, and we're finding out something called K2. And K2, what it does is it pulls the calcium that isn't supposed to be in the bloodstream, the calcium that's in there that will start causing calcification. It's not supposed to be in there in the first place. It pulls it out and puts it back in the bone where it belongs.
Love it.
So really, really great on the kale.
Can I mention something about kale that makes it easier to eat?
Sure.
Okay, so obviously it has the little spine in the middle. So if you will pull the kale off of the spine, that is helpful. The other thing is that if you cut it up really small and then massage maybe some extra virgin olive oil into it, it becomes a little bit softer.
Absolutely.
And a little bit easier to eat. So if that's a way to eat it raw.
That's it.
That's the goal with some
I
of
love
these.
it.
So yeah.
Fruits, vegetables. Now let's go to grains. What you got?
Did you have me do grains because like you knew my passion?
Yep. You're a little Italian. You're not, because we did your DNA, but you got a little
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about oats and oatmeal. So
bodybuilding wise.
yeah.
Gotcha.
It's bodybuilding life for sure. So really, really great complex carbohydrate. So for long sustained bursts of energy, right? And man, lower cholesterol,
And special fiber.
improves gut bacterial content. Just take over.
Improves your microbiome.
There we go.
Yeah. But it has all those benefits on top of being one of the best fiber-based grains in the world, right? And there's a fiber that's called beta-glucan, and beta-glucan is a form of fiber that reduces cholesterol, helps with brain health, reduces risk of cancer, helps with blood sugar, all of those things.
Yeah, blood sugar especially. And you know, something that I really love about oats, and I want to give this as an option for people, and I like to get my oats organic. So just putting that out there.
Can I say something about that?
Please.
Because the people that hate on oats really should do their homework because it's not oats, it's the processing of oats. The more you process anything, including oats, you're pulling nutrients out that then now the blood sugar level will increase. In other words, it's digesting so fast it raises the blood sugar. And so when you have these super highly processed oats, a lot of these instant oatmeals and that, there's barely oats left. They've stripped a lot of the fiber and the nutrients, and then people rip on them and say, oh, there's a study and raise blood sugar and all this.
And I'm not talking about quick cooking oats. I don't use those either.
So really, what's the best form that you can think of?
Yeah, they're the whole, I don't know if it's called whole grain. It's not. It's the steel cut.
Steel cut.
Yeah.
Steel cut organic, right?
Yeah.
So, steel cut organic.
So anyways, a good way to consume oats, right, is, and if you don't want to cook them, to mix them in a Greek yogurt or something and create overnight oats.
Doug is
such a huge fan of that. Doug loves them in a shake. I don't love them in a shake so much, but it will create the thickness that you're looking for if you don't want to use a banana.
Overnight oats is my favorite.
Overnight oats are your favorite. The other thing is that when I find the most satiety, when I am full from breakfast to lunch, it's when I incorporate oats and a lean protein together. That combination is just a killer move, and it's a hack us bodybuilders that are trying to stay as full
Yeah.
as long as we can.
And
So
let's mention before you go on to number two, I can't overemphasize enough oatmeal being a healthy food in a world where you get some of these influencers or biohackers out there telling you that it's not. If you take a look at, right now on Earth, who is the healthiest, the strongest, the blood work even, it's natural bodybuilders, ones that don't take steroids or drugs and that, but live this clean lifestyle. They're building as much muscle as the body will allow genetically. And again, blood profiles, all those types of things that we will do on them because of the benefits of exercise and healthy eating. And the high majority, well into the 90s, I'd like to even say above 95, but let's say well in the 90% eat oatmeal and a ton of it. And you also look back through history of a lot of the tribes that a lot of people say, well, it's just for peasant food and it's just for the livestock. No, you look back and see that oats itself was used in a lot of dishes, and that always through history to be able to help improve immunity. When there was gut problems, they would use oats and stuff through history as using it as a therapeutic grain to be able to help the body. So really big on that. Harvard's Nutrition Resource just a year ago came out with a huge study on it again, if it's the right form, but it does have to be the right form.
yeah.
Okay.
So thank you. Perfect. The other two we're going to talk about are ones that we do not consume enough of, so we need to start. First, we're going to talk about quinoa. Great. Something that a lot of people don't know about quinoa is it has a complete amino acid profile.
It does.
Right? So it's great for muscle energy. Also, it has a lot of magnesium, which is going to benefit in vitality. And then it has anti-inflammatory properties. What else?
Well, anti-inflammatory, diabetes, and cancer are three areas that quinoa helps with. And so in other words, it's not high glycemic, keeps the blood sugar. It does have what you got me here?
Got it.
It does have the ability to act as an antioxidant, also to help with the cancer properties. Quinoa is huge because it is a superfood by far.
And sometimes what we forget about quinoa is that it can be incorporated at breakfast time just as easily as oats can be, right?
And you do see that a lot. Like we travel so much. It's interesting how many times you travel and you see now some quinoa with the Greek yogurts and the fruit, things like that.
Yeah, and it's also a really easy one to add to throw on top of a salad. It's an easy one to keep just as a side by itself. Quinoa is a really interesting texture too. I think most people really like it. I really like the texture. Anyways, so third, we're going to get into barley.
Controversy.
Oh, then you just take this one over. You
No,
know how I feel
you
about
got it.
controversy.
You got it. And,
So-
and let's talk about it because I'll come as to why this controversial.
So high in fiber, selenium for sustained energy, enhances vitality via gut health. Oh, I'm so big on gut health right now. Remember when I was on my adrenal function era where all I could talk about is the benefits of a healthy, I was like, you got to take your opti-adrenal, you got to take cord-adrenal. We're on gut health now. I went through a little period where we had some issues from a little amoeba that we got and increased my flora intake through the roof. And we're talking everything's back to where it's supposed to be. So I'm big on gut health right now. And your gut health is a really great indicator of longevity, right?
It is. And let's talk about gut health and fiber. There's so many different forms of fiber out there, and I think people get caught up with, that they're maybe a little constipated and they go get fiber and they need more fiber, but they're taking this rough, just straight psyllium husk type fibers for them to store, the metamucils and all those things, which at times it can help, but it's more therapeutic. You want fermented fibers. You want fibers you can get in and use. Some of the fibers used to build the microbiome, the gut health, right? The probiotics, and some of it's used to actually keep things flowing, and the body can use it as it's needed. And grains contain these types of fibers, and that's really key to understanding the benefit. The body knows what it needs to do, and you want to provide the nutrients. The body can use it for whatever it wants. It can use it as food. It can use it as movement material, whatever it is. And that's one of its factors. But here's the situation with barley. is that it's got a bad rap because barley is one of the grains that has been genetically modified a ton.
Mm-hmm.
And what they found was that if they would actually make the grains tighter, in other words, the bonds on it, so that they're hard to break open. Think just of like an egg where the shell's hard to break off, or a nut, and something that they just, if you make that really hard, it's hard to get into the inside. The same thing happened with a lot of the grains, including barley. And one of those components of the grain is a protein called gluten. And so wheat, barley, rye has gluten in it. And what's happening is gluten never was a problem until we started genetically modifying these things. And we started letting Monsanto and a lot of these other companies sell those seeds to the farmers. And so barley has got a rap sometimes for some people that, oh, wait, it actually causes digestive problems. That's supposed to be helping because that's not breaking down. There's a gluten intolerance. And again, you don't have a problem with gluten causing issues. You have a problem if the gluten isn't digested. So again, go to an organic forms of barley. Make sure that you take your enzymes, whether it's Digestamil or the new Chemzyme has a ton of the enzyme in it to help break down gluten from foods. And then you'll start getting those benefits. But for people that especially have digestive issues, flow issues, things like that, incorporate some of these healthy grains. Just make sure they're organic, or they come from a source to where there's not a lot of the genetically modified. And you're going to see that they're hugely beneficial. That's why when we travel to other countries, eating these grain foods is so awesome.
Love it. Thank you. Okay, and now we're going into berries. What did Nature's Candy?
Nature's Candy.
I want to preface this by make sure you wash your berries.
Absolutely. And it's because there's a lot of berries to where they are in nature, they bring out the nutrients right out to the end of the berry itself. In other words, it's through the skin and it's out there, and a lot of it creates an aroma to attract like bears and things like that. And so it also, if they spray them and the pesticides, they can be on there, but they're easily removed. So really good point with it. Number one is probably the one thing that people, when we say think of an antioxidant or a longevity food, whether it's berry or vegetable, that come out with.
Yeah, blueberries.
Yeah,
it's also one of the ones that I told my coach I need to stick with that all through prep, because as calories get slimmer, we need all the brain boosting power we can get, right?
Absolutely. And it's two factors with it. One is, again, a phytonutrient called anthocyanins. Anthocyanins is a very specific phytonutrient that actually acts immediately on the brain. It does help other places of the body, but there's this crazy new research study, 2025, and they showed that if you have about a handful, not quite a full handful, about 3/4 of a handful of berries, that within 20 minutes, your brain is on fire. Cognitive function improves dramatically. And it's the first thing that we've known from just a food to really create that level of improvement quickly in the body. And so it's a huge brain boosting berry.
I feel like they're so easy to eat,
Absolutely.
after they're washed.
And they're really big on helping with diabetes too. And I just did a reel the other day. 1 in 3 teenagers now are pre-diabetic. It's one of the fastest rises diseases today. And it's like, dude, give people berries, freeze them, keep them out.
Yeah, but I feel like that has so many other.
Yeah, so what thing to do is start switching out foods. That's the number one thing you can do is to start switching out high sugary processed foods with healthy foods.
Yeah, and I think the number one consistent thing that we're talking about here is the pureness of a single ingredient food and all of the health benefits that come from eliminating highly processed foods. They just cause so much damage and we don't even recognize it.
Absolutely.
And we don't recognize it until they're out of our diet and we're eating really clean again. So second, thank you, for blueberries is strawberries, high in vitamin C and fiber for energy, anti-inflammatory. What else?
What's interesting, there was a study done on strawberries for mobility in aging, which was really interesting.
Very interesting.
And lower frailty. So there's some other benefits of strawberries that we haven't really put our finger on of exactly The mechanism, we know it just does it. We know that whether it's bone health or maybe joint lubrication, there's something about strawberries that is shown in multiple studies to be able to help with frailty. So strawberries are important, but this one out of all the berries, you need to wash for sure.
Wash
Like this is
especially.
one that's really, really important.
Yeah. And also that's good in dark chocolate again. How about that?
Boom.
And then third, blackberries. Give it to us.
So blackberries are interesting because they have something called polyphenols. And I know you like all these words, all these different types of, anthocyanins, polyphenols, that basically if it's a phytonutrient, it's going to have a crazy word like that. And it can help the body in any area, but they are specific. They're specifically sent to certain areas to make sure they're okay first before it goes to other areas. And I know a lot of people rip on me for saying that, but the truth is nature knows best, and different foods will have properties that make sure that they're working on different systems in the body, and then they're able to be used in other places. They have specific jobs. And when it comes to blackberries, their big thing really comes into immunity through stopping something called reactive oxidative species, ROS, in the body. So, oxidation. And it's really, really powerful in that ability to reduce stress in the body. So really great berry, favorite of bears. So it's important.
Just for people that want to know that about bears.
Yeah.
Bears really love blackberries.
Blackberries.
Huh. Thanks for that information. Thank you. And I think something that's really consistent through everything that we're talking about when we're talking about longevity is all of these phytonutrients, antioxidants, and they're still we're still learning more and more about them even to this day, right? I mean, it's amazing how many health benefits.
Before we jump to the last subject, can I comment on the bear thing again?
Yep.
I heard someone say, here's the reason berries are bad for you, because bears eat them, a ton of them, right before they go into hibernation, and it's this fructose problem, and it gets stored, and that's why they can make it through hibernation. And if you have them and you don't hibernate, it causes fatty liver and fat and everything. Oh my gosh, that was such a huge jump without knowing even the basics of organic chemistry. So let's set the record straight. They're a phenomenal carbohydrate source for energy, of sustained energy. So they are a complex carb. But one of the main reasons that bears eat them before hibernation is the antioxidant property and what the body's having to do to keep protected so its immune system is strong as different things come in, and the bear's hibernating, bugs and everything else is trying to be around, and it's actually one of the protectors. So, sometimes influencers and stuff drive me wacko.
Sometimes they're great.
Sometimes they're great.
Let's talk about meat.
This is your subject for sure.
Okay.
Why don't we let you take this one?
You make it sound like I eat a ton of meat.
Chickens every day. Chickens. Chickens run when we're walking at night. Take off the other way. Hilary's coming. She's going to eat me.
Right, because we live where chickens just run freely.
Neighbors right on the corner.
Okay. First and foremost, we're going to talk about the benefits of salmon, that fatty little fish. Actually, my favorite fish is salmon. Yeah. So the omega-3s for brain health, anti-inflammatory for vitality and heart health, longevity. Salmon was listed in Peloton 2025 as top for omega-3 supporting aging. And Nature Medicine 2025 finds moderate animal foods like fish enhance health.
Yeah, so it is absolutely one of the best sources in the world for omega-3 fatty acids. Again, back to brain health, skin, joints, mobility. But the question always comes up, fish, that means mercury and all that, and true. And in the world, it does get worse. You just need to get the best form you can, cook it properly.
What is the best form of salmon?
And basically, it's anything that is wild caught.
Got it.
Right? And so the thing about salmon too is think of it like the human body, that if we want to get rid of toxins and metals in the body, one of the absolute greatest things that we can do is sauna. And then the second thing we do is add antioxidants. So take a salmon and put it in the sauna. So you want to really, really steam it, cook it well, and let, if there's any, will come out. And then using like lemon or orange on that also as an antioxidant, it does two things. It'll help to secure the omega-3s to make sure that they don't turn rancid, but it also helps to remove if there are any heavy metals with it. And our videographer, Buddy Hunter, is up fishing right now in Alaska on his little boat. And we talk every week, and he's out in the middle of nowhere by himself out in this ocean. It's crazy, but he is bringing us back some fresh, wild-caught salmon.
We do love that about him. Okay, second, we are going to talk about chicken, the lean poultry. And just so everybody knows, pork is not the other white meat. Doug loves to say that.
I love that. It's not on the top three. You'll notice that.
Really not
It's
on
actually in the bottom three. Of
Yeah,
all bad
it's got
foods
to
out
be.
there.
Okay, so chicken, high protein, obviously for muscle energy, B vitamins for vitality, and low fat for longevity without other health risks.
So it's,
What's this fatigue? Like, tell me more about that.
yeah, it's interesting because a research study shows that it beats fatigue and then aids in recovery. Aids in recovery because of the amino acids in the chicken. And many believe that chicken, the whole thing with fatigue does come down to making sure the body has enough stores of amino acids to be able to be used, not just for protein synthesis to build muscle. It's a lot of, we usually go just there, like, oh, it's the meat for muscle and protein and all that. And when the fact is the body might not build back, you eat the chicken and it's a bunch of amino acids together, and it breaks it down to a single amino acid, and the body builds it back up. But if it needs to build it back up to a protein, that's great. But it might build it back up to just a peptide and all the way to a protein that then the body uses to help with recovery, to help with energy and those things that stimulate the body. And the thing about meat proteins is it provides the body with a ton of amino acids the body could assemble as needed to help with fatigue, recovery, or muscle and those types of things. And that's kind of the area that's really interesting is if you get way too much protein, the body will actually lower testosterone. So you need to like have the right amount. And what we've learned now, though, is not so much how much you consume, it's how much you digest. So again, with chicken, because you're not going to eat it raw, take your enzymes. If you want to make sure that you get energy from a meat and you don't lower testosterone from eating too much meat, you've got to digest it.
Okay. And then third, we're going to talk about turkey. High protein, obviously, for sustained energy and muscle repair. B vitamins like B6, B12, niacin. Boosts vitality by aiding energy metabolism and reducing fatigue. Selenium and zinc support longevity through antioxidants. Immunity, cardiovascular risk compared to red meats. Let's talk about that.
Well, what's interesting is they did a study as trying to help people get away from red meats, and we can have the whole red meat conversation if you wanted. But the meat that was easiest to switch to, or as far as palatable wise, was turkey for some reason. And so turkey really comes in because it's kind of that in between chicken and red meat. That you still get some of that flavor, you still get a little bit more of that density, that darkness,
almost gamey type.
Yes, yeah. And so it's a great way to go, especially if you like a lot of red meat. And I'm surprised that maybe like bison or something like that wasn't on here. I bet you they were close because there are some red meats that are healthy. Again, when it comes to meat, simple rule of thumb: the more active, just meat. I'm going to say meat in general.
Okay.
The more active the animal, the healthier the meat. And so that's why pig is at the bottom of the barrel. Like, no, you don't eat pork. Never eat pork. It's the worst. It is the most parasitic food on the planet Earth. In other words, parasites love pork. The fatty content, and it's not just the fatty content, it's a type of fat that's in the pork, and the laziness of the animal. It's just, you're pretty much guaranteed parasites with that scenario. But we're talking about healthiest: turkey, chicken, salmon.
I love it. That's perfect. Well, there you go. FitFam, that's what we were talking about today. All of the superfood that can give us vitality, longevity.
And so there's a lot of people, when we talk about eating these foods, kind of in closing, is they're like, well, then that limits the amount of foods I can eat. Well, we just gave a whole bunch of foods and the research to show why these are actually even better than others. But there's a whole bunch of foods in a day. Think about that's 15 different foods that you choose from just by taking the top 3 in each category. So you can eat single ingredient foods, and you can focus on these in your diet, and it's going to make a huge difference. Probably, besides the mindset of your why, the most important thing that you can do, for sure.
For sure. I love it.
As always, this is Miss Natural Olympia Hilary.
And this guy right here, Doug the Formulator.
Come join us, the super seminar in Vegas.
See you.
Get in the room. Get in the room. Take care.